Now, one of the big misconceptions with all chip shots is getting the ball on your back foot. So you hear this a lot, get the ball lined up with your back foot, get the club leaning forward like we talked about. We talked about how that's good. And then hit down on this golf ball so that you're sure to make ball first contact. Now, if I do this, if I take that advice, it's very easy to do one of these and just cold dead chunk it. That ball didn't even hardly get to the green, kind of scooted up there, and I'm really chopping into the ground. Maybe if I get really nervous and I do that again, I'm gonna chunk one so bad it won't even go anywhere. I'll just pop up on the turf like that. Now, where does that instruction come from? If this is bad, then why is it that so many pros and so many good players tell people to put the ball on the back foot, shaft forward, lean down? And this comes from the way that they're setting their feet up. So if you want that advice to work, there's a couple things that have to happen. Number one, your feet have to be really close together so your back foot and your front foot aren't that far apart. And then also, when you listen to people that say that, they're typically gonna have their feet a little bit open. You can see how my feet are pointing forward a little bit. So now when you look at this, it looks like my ball is on my back foot or my right foot. But if I lift up my right foot, you'll notice that my ball is also in line with my left heel, which makes sense because when I'm hitting these short game shots, my weight is slightly left, kind of on that left heel. That's going to help me to ground out that club on my left heel, and now the ball is in a good position. So it's not that the ball being on your back foot is bad, it's just we have to be set up this way to get the ball in the right position when we're taking that advice. Now, if I take a little bit of a wider stance, and now all of a sudden my weight is left, my club wants to ground out up here with my left heel, way in front of this golf ball. So now if I hit the ball back here, I'm gonna be chopping down. I add the forward shaft lean, that's gonna make me chop down even more. And I feel like I'm hitting down to hit the ball first. Now it's just chunk city. You're gonna be thinning and chunking all of them. So I'm okay if you want to put your feet together and play the ball off your right toe, that's completely fine. But I'm okay if you also want to take a little bit of a wider stance and you'd play that ball off your left heel. Now in reality, those are the same. This is the same ball position. All I'm doing is just moving my right foot closer forward or farther back. It's completely fine. So whichever you do, whether you have a wide stance or a narrow stance, play the ball off your left heel. We still want to get that forward shaft lean, and as we come back and through, we will be hitting slightly down, but think of this more as brushing the turf rather than hitting down at the golf ball. If we do that, it's going to be way easier to control the shot, get it to go the right distance, and make a lot more up and downs. Now here's when it's a little bit confusing. We talk about in the full swing all the time how we want to be tilted away from the target so that we can get behind this golf ball, and when we come through, we're releasing out in front to really get with the maximum amount of speed. Now in the short game, that's actually different. If we tilt away, we're gonna have some trouble. In the full swing, you have to be tilted behind the golf ball so that when you release the club, it's accelerating through the golf ball and you can get a lot of club head speed. If we're gonna swing our maximum club head speed and really hit the ball super far, that's the technique that you have to use. Now in the short game, we're not worried about hitting the ball far. I mean, anybody with any amount of strength can hit the ball from here to the pin 30 feet in front of me or 30 yards in front of me. And here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my sternum and I'm gonna put it over the ball. So if I set up to this pitch shot, now I've got my 60-degree wedge back out. I set up to this pitch shot, same for the chip shots. I want my shirt buttons over my golf ball. I don't wanna be tilted back like this where my shirt buttons are behind, because now my club is going to want to ground out there unless I get a lot of lag and release that club in front. And if I do that, the ball's just going to take off way too fast. So I'm keeping my weight left. Again, in a full swing, we have a weight shift for power. In a short game shot, we don't need any power. We're actually trying to take power away. So I'm keeping my weight left. I'm pivoting kind of over top of my left foot. My shirt buttons are farther forward, and this is going to help me be more consistent on the ground. Now, if we wanted to be as consistent as possible, you could argue that this would be a great way to go for full swing. The problem is you just lose 15, 20 yards off the tee, 30 yards off the tee, which is pretty daggone tough to play great golf on the full swing doing that. So when we're doing these short game shots, remember, keep my weight just on the inside of my left foot, kind of on my left heel. My shirt buttons are going to be slightly forward, and then from there, I just want to keep rotating on through the shot, hit some nice, crisp wedge shots, hit them up there by the pin.